Hello and welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today we are doing a curtain raiser interview for the book. The book has a very interesting title. As you can see, it says The Case for Ram. If you see this cover, there is an elderly gentleman showing with folded hands bowing, and you can see the Ram temple. Of course, you can see the hammer, which is signifies the court system, the court. In movies you would have seen it. The very interesting cover of this book titled The Case for Ram. Then we've got commendations from best-selling authors like Amish Tripathi, who said that it's a must read. It is authored by Advocate Anirudh Sharma, Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju. Both of us are within the studio today for the interview. Let me welcome Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, Advocate Anirudh Sharma. Many congratulations to both of you, for writing books in a time where not many books are being written. There are books being written, but serious legal accounts are less in number, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think this is a book of its kind, and I believe there may not be any other book in the world, especially coming from a courtroom. The story as to how the case was built, presented, argued, leading to a judgment.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the uniqueness of this book, and I don't think there's any other book of this kind. There are biographies of judges, there are biographies of senior counsels, but you won't find a biography of the case itself.
So, in 2 minutes, if you could explain to me, Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, that what is this book all about?
See, this book seeks to document the manner in which the case unfolded in the Supreme Court in a first appeal, resolving a centuries-old dispute about a piece of land where there were claims and counterclaims, and there were different parties. Contrary to the public perception, there were 3 parties seeking, asserting their rights before the courts of law. So we highlight the pleadings and the evidence put forward by all the 3 sides, and then also analyze the material which is placed in simple words for a common man to understand what was this all about.
Okay. So basically, this is an easy to read format for anyone to read?
Yes. Absolutely. This book is actually meant for, say, anyone who's in a high school and above. Okay. It's a very easy to read and completely replete of any legalese or complex jargons.
Okay. So, Anirudh, this book is like 400 pages. So, it's not very long. It's decently sized. 400 is not even a small book. So much of material. Could you sort of reflect on what all? Because, if you could encapsulate this in a capsule.
Yes.
What all does this have? Why should I read this?
One movie which has occupied my mind is Who Killed Jessica?
Okay.
Right. So it is a very simple form of presenting a tale.
Yeah.
Here also there was a beautiful tale which we saw of resilience, of commitment, of submission to his God by Mr. K. Parasram, former Attorney General for India, who at 92 took up this task, and he weathered a lot of storm, personal challenges. At 92, if you work, you exert yourself, yes. You get temperature, you have glaucoma in the eyes, hearing problems, pain in the knees. This is a story which is to be told about that effort put in, the history of the case. He is not the only person. He says he's worked the least. The whole movement to 500 years of struggle has seen so many sacrifices, so many people coming in. So he says that lawyers deserve the least of the credit. So, but what happened in the court actually is what only the lawyers can understand. And it has to be told to people in simple language so that the people know their evidence, their history, their civilization, what was found from below the earth, what was found from above the earth, and all these things.
That is when you read the book, you will get to know.
That's right.
Now, the first few chapters, Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, if you could share with us, I'll just read out to you so that the viewers will also know. Viewers, if you see, the first few chapters are the imminent clash, Lord Ram's lawyer, the legal team, the suits a case of great significance, a beautiful mind and the factual matrix, and God arrives in court. What is this first few chapters about, which is God's own lawyer?
See, here we try to actually introduce to the reader in a very simplistic story narration format, where we introduce the issues which were placed before the court by different parties, and then also briefly give you an insight into the personalities involved in the profession who were engaged in the matter and how they actually approached the matter, and then leading into the opening of the appeal arguments in the court. So it's basically walking you into the story by introducing the characters and positioning them in a very non-fiction format, but in a manner a normal legal novel would have done.
Okay. Now coming to the second section, I'll ask Anirudh. The chapters read twists and turns, reigning surprises, court, Janmabhoomi and the Bhakt, the Janmabhoomi conundrum of prayer and a barrage of questions, archaeology and the temple, evidence from 1 before Christ to BCE or to 1528 CE, history, evidence, parikrama, and Nirmohi Akhada's challenge. What is this section 2 all about?
See, section 2 deals about, again I said, the preparation done by Mr. Parasran and how the case actually started. There were a lot of twists and turns. Mr. Parasran was not supposed to start the case. He was requested to start the case.
Okay.
But as destiny had it, some divine intervention happened. He was all ready to start the case, but he could not reach the court on time, even in 1.5 hours. So that's one part of it. Then it comes to, we had a wonderful team of very hardworking advocate on records like P.V. Yogeshwar and Bhakti Vardhan Singh. So they were also briefing Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan, who took care of the evidence part. Because of age, Mr. Parasran at 92 could not take care of all the evidence part. So Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan was there. So then he comes in to place the evidence before the court when he faces a barrage of questions, and then he introduces the archaeological evidence to the court, which was the first case and the first time in any court in the world where archaeological evidence was being presented to solve a property or a land dispute.
Okay. So basically the Ram Mandir, the temple issue was a property dispute.
That's right. It was not a constitutional law dispute.
No.
The court adjudicated it as property dispute.
Okay. Now I see that this book of yours has as many as 38 chapters, and the book is about 360, 400 pages of written material. So you've written it in those bite-sized pieces so you can read one chapter a day, because it looks like there are many chapters, must be about 20, 30 pages each.
Yes, approximately you can say that. See, the idea was to simplify the concepts or the narration of the story in a format that the reader can assimilate without any challenge on account of the complex legal issues we try to deal with. This book not only deals with the legal issues, we try to deconstruct them for a common man to understand, but also we talk about what is faith about, the Hindu faith about. Worship, is idol a necessary element of worship? Whether you can worship without an idol. So therefore there are a lot of spiritual aspects which come out of this. So if someone is looking to understand how spiritually the Sanatan is explored and understood, you will read it through the court records as to how it was presented in this case.
Interesting. Now I'll go to Anirudh. In the part 3rd, the opposing side, you have chapter titles like Rights, Wrongs, Belongs to Threats, Tectonic Shift, On Whose Side Was History, Stumbling Block and the Ashwamedha, Focal Point, Riddle of 1885, Who Won in 1885, The Worth and Worthlessness of Archaeology, Reply to the ASI Report, What do experts want, what do courts want? If you could reflect on these chapters.
See, as far as archaeology is concerned, I will again repeat that this was the first case in the world where archaeological evidence was being relied upon.
First case.
As a matter of fact, when we reflect, it was history which was on trial.
Right.
Right. So what happened in 1870, what happened in 1885 became issues of great import.
So it's not a faith-based case. It's all property title-based.
That's right. But in deciding issues of faith, the use of the land by the faithful becomes a question of evidence.
Okay.
So whether you have practiced your faith is a matter of evidence. what is your faith is not a matter of evidence.
Okay.
But have you practiced your faith? That becomes matter of evidence. How have you practiced? How long have you practiced?
How
Through what
long?
measures have you practiced? All these becomes issues of evidence.
Point very well
And
taken.
issues of history also. But this kind of historical evidence is allowed to be brought in court.
Okay. So basically, for how long were people visiting this place of worship, which is the
That is right.
Ram temple? Now, the case of the temple is your section 5, where the last, which is one of the chapter titles, the test of Indianness, the form of God, importance of the worshipper, the world of temples and statues. Very interesting titles. Judges, Idgah and archaeology, juristic person, final round. What is this section 5 all about?
See, here we try to deal with the concept of juristic person. That is, it's very unique to the Indian way of worship in Sanatan, where the idol is actually a living entity. So therefore, our form of worship is as if it is a part of our existing human form. So that's how it's worshipped, right from morning to evening. The pujas that you have in all the traditional Agama temples, it's done in a form as if it's done to a person you revere as a living entity. So that is the concept of juristic person, which is jurisprudentially recognized even by the British.
Oh,
So that is where the concept of a juristic person and Ramlala Virajman as a juristic person comes in.
Okay.
And there is also a assertion that the Janmasthan per se is also a juristic person. So therefore that piece of land itself is a juristic person. In that context, we refer to other temples and other places of worship where the place or the land, the undulation in Kedarnath is worshipped as if it's a divinity.
in
The hills are
Kedarnath,
worshipped as a divinity.
in this land.
Right. That's
Gaya
the
Vishnupad.
case. So therefore, Gaya's Vishnupad. In fact, the 7 hills of Tirumala are considered sacred.
All 7 hills.
Yes, all 7 hills are considered sacred. So therefore, these are all issues that actually go to the core of the practice of Sanatan in this land.
One thing I want to know from you, because you're using the word Sanatan, can Sanatan and Hinduism be used interchangeably, or you're using Sanatan as a
No, I in this context it can be used interchangeably because Sanatan is eternal. If you translate simplicity.
Okay.
So therefore it's a way of life.
Okay.
Because as contrary to a Abrahamic perspective of faith, where you have a God, you have a book, and you have a person or a prophet or a son of God, and then you have to accept those 3 things to be part of that religion. Whereas in India, we do not have that concept at all. So therefore, it is a westernized understanding of Sanatan that becomes Hinduism.
Is it so? So Sanatan precedes Hinduism.
Sanatan is the practice here, and because of the conceptual absence in the Western understanding, they had to label it as a religion. Otherwise,
there was no way of
and
explaining.
then over a period of years and centuries, we also have started referring it to as a religion in that sense, and the laws recognize it as a religion.
Thanks for explaining this to us. Now we come to section 6 of the book. I'll ask Anirudh here. The chapters go by the names like witnesses and their evidence, hair splitting law, evidence of the Sunni Central Waqf Board, possession ownership questions, the last act, prayers and oral evidence, the judgment. What is this section 6 about?
See, this case is quite interesting because the width of evidence in this case has never been there in any case earlier. Right, you have had historical evidence, what happened in 1880, what happened even in 1700s. What did people see in Ayodhya in 1700s?
1700.
Yes, those who passed by and those who recorded what they saw. Like Heen Sang, he recorded things about Patliputra, Nalanda. Did he record anything about Ayodhya or not? That's
But did it
another
have a
question.
historical context?
Exactly. So that part of evidence. Then to prove or disprove that part of evidence or practice, you have expert witnesses. To prove and disprove, you have to prove or disprove archaeology and its findings, you have expert evidence, right? And of course, then how everything is looked at through the prism of law, finally in a court of law. So towards the end, maybe a couple of chapters, we do go a bit legalistic with an attempt to explain the legalese to the common people.
So you didn't go by faith, you went by, first you explained with us you didn't go by faith, you go by civil law. And then you explained the faith angle. But first civil law.
How faith fits in civil law.
Okay. This is very interesting because
right to worship
you simply don't say that we believe so we claim right.
Right.
It's existence of faith as contrasted with faith. Existence of faith is that do people worship genuinely that this place is the Janmasthana of Ram. And it's interesting to know that consistently people of faith on both sides agreed that for hundreds of years people worship this place as Janmasthana on both sides.
So there's no
you get to see that. And
there's no difference on that issue.
No, absolutely. There's consistent evidence on that existence of faith is actually admitted.
See, there are various kinds of evidence. One of that evidence could be that.
Okay. That's a very interesting. So if you can, in two final answers, if we start with Anirudh, if you can sum up that when I read this book, what do I get to know? Because 38 chapters. How would you advise people to read the book? 1 page a day, 2 pages a day, 1 chapter a day? Because though it looks like a book, it takes time to assimilate such deep concepts or also so many explanations. I mean, this is not like 2 pages or 3 pages, it's 400 pages. So could you explain this?
Maybe a section to section approach.
Yes.
Because ultimately this is about Indian civilization, how it progresses.
Yes.
We thought that only 500 years is a trial, but with archaeology coming in,
yes,
the past 2,500 years
have come. Okay.
Were on trial. So how did the civilization evolve is also a part of this book.
Point
and how do people look at their own history as well?
People look at their own history. Point very well taken. Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju.
I would say that probably you can have a bird's eye view of the book, reading it through, and then probably revisiting to actually assimilate the concepts. Probably you'll get a larger map, and then what we try to do in this 400 odd pages with about 300 plus footnotes of contemporary news reports and pleadings and evidence is to actually summarize, say, about 25 to 30,000 pages of court records which the Supreme Court actually grappled with to bring out a 1,000 odd page judgment into 400 pages for a common man, because we did it as what we owe it to this country, because we were fortunate to be part of this litigation, to have an insider's perspective, and this is a battle which transcends generations. It's a question of the identity of this civilization. We live on the concepts or references to Ram as an existential concept. So that was challenged and we proved it in court.
Okay. Interesting you say this. I would urge all of you to read this book. The Case for Ram is the title. There's an interesting cover. Read, share, write, comment about it, give feedback. And as the former Prime Minister of India said, the answer to a book is a book. That's former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So if you have any narrative counter to it, you also write a book, and that also we can highlight. But as of now, this book is out, and I urge all of you to read it. I would like to thank Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, Advocate Anirudh Sharma. Thank you for giving your time to us on a issue that concerns at least in India about 1.4 billion people. Because that is, these many people follow the Hindu faith. I'm sure there would be a lot of interest in this book and a lot of reactions to come, a lot of questions to come, which all of you will answer in the coming days at various forums. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And congratulations for writing this book.
Thanks. Tarun.
So that's his viewers for today on this curtain raiser on this book titled The Case for Ram. I await your feedback. Do read it and let us know. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.